Hi everybody, welcome. It's to my dyslexic life and I'm Vanessa Victor. Nothing like a bit of dyslexia to get your words mixed up. Well, you know, that's what it's like. And my brain was just going so fast thinking about what I wanted to talk about today that, yeah, that's how our words get jumbled up. So I think for those of you that have been following these posts, you'll know that we're having a renovation here at home, and I've just talked about how much that's been affecting my dyslexia, and actually all of the chaos and everything around me is actually making all of my dyslexic symptoms worse again. So it's been really interesting just to, with the knowledge that I've got now about how dyslexia affects you, it's been really interesting to go through this experience and just to really see those points where it's just like, oh my gosh, I can really see my dyslexia here. You know, I've learned to manage it really well over the last few years, but this is as I've said, is definitely bringing up lots of things that is quite interesting to observe. So one of them was measuring kitchen cabinets. Oh my gosh. So I think for those of you that have watched the videos and the truth about dyslexia, you know, I've shared that, yes, I am dyslexic, but actually I can read, write and spell pretty well. In fact, I love reading. And spelling, I'm actually quite good at spelling, but numbers, that is a whole other thing. Now, I know some people are going to say this is called dyscalculia. You know, for those of you that do follow, follow me and are part of the truth about dyslexia, or have found this through Remarkable Minds, you'll know that I don't look at dyslexia in such a separate way. You know, dyslexia, what happens in our brain causes certain things, and the effect is you're not good at spelling or phonemic awareness or dyscalculia or dyspraxia. But I really view it as you can have a little bit of everything. So for me, definitely numbers and maths are my strong point. So, you know, we're trying to work out this kitchen design, and it's really interesting because when I'm talking to the project manager and the kitchen person, you know, I'm kind of like drawing things with my hands saying, you know, okay, so I want this there and we want this up there. But it was so interesting because they were like, okay, well, your fridge needs to be a certain height. So of course, in my mind, I just see the fridge slotting into the space and then we're putting a cupboard on top. And then going to the appliance or the shop and actually measuring up the fridge space. And, you know, the guy was saying, well, you can't have that because, you know, you need this much space for venting around it. And it was just so interesting to see that I could look at the numbers on a sheet of paper, but they really didn't make any sense to me. I really couldn't visualize it. But once I actually saw the fridge and I could physically see the size of it, then I could get that picture of how it was going to look. So, you know, those numbers written down on a sheet just didn't mean anything. And then we were having to work out cupboards to go into the space above the bench. And oh my gosh, like, it's just crazy. It's taken me like 3 days to be able to get my head around the dimensions, the measurements. I have measured those things 3 or 4 times. I've got other people to measure them. I've drawn little pencil marks on the old cupboards. But it's just that, it's just that blank that we get, you know, numbers are just symbols, and I just couldn't see what it was going to look like. So even though I kept measuring these cupboards, and I'd come back downstairs and I think, okay, you know, the measurement is 300. And then I'd think, but what are they going to do on top of that? So then I'd go back upstairs again and I'd be like, okay, I've measured that. It's like 720. Come back downstairs again. And then I'd be like, oh, but how am I going to kind of tell them what I want without being able to do it visually? And then in the end, thank goodness for iPads, I just took a picture of the cupboards and then I just, you know, drew on the pictures the different dimensions. But it's just really interesting, you know, it really makes you realize that working with numbers and all those measurements just really aren't the way that my brain naturally thinks. And I could see what I wanted it to look like, but actually it was really hard to communicate that to the kitchen design people without getting all the measurements involved. Anyway, it's just been, like I said, it's been really interesting because this whole experience is bringing up lots of triggers and lots of times that my dyslexia is definitely coming to the fore again, where, you know, lately, or probably for the last few years, it hasn't been quite as much. Anyway, so I don't know if anybody else has that as well. I know there are dyslexics that can spell out there, you know, I am one of them. But like I said, numbers for me are just terrible. Or maybe you're one of the dyslexics where your spelling is terrible, but you're really good at numbers. You know, at the end of the day, it's all just to do with how our brain is processing the information. So I hope you have a good week. I'm hoping that my kitchen cupboard measurements are going to work out, and I look forward to seeing you again. See ya.